Nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
It's pretty heavy. Like Kermit the Frog said, being green isn't easy.
But maybe it can be. We're Mindfluencers, learning to make green living easy.
Food insecurity is when you don't have enough food to eat and you don't always know where your next meal is going to come from.
You feel hungry.
Exactly. And so if you're hungry, you can share, other folks can share with you.
Now my turn.
So I'm here with Chef Dave. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what
No.
you got going on? No?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm Chef Dave, and I own Liliana's and Little John's. All my businesses are named after my kids. So we opened this on my kiddo's first birthday, and that was, almost 15 years ago. And then we had Charlie's on Main in Oregon after my middle kiddo, Charlie. And that was open for 5 years, but we closed because of COVID. And now we have our newest venture, Little John's, named after my youngest. Little John's is a nonprofit pay-what-you-can restaurant where we take grocery excess, work with military veterans to train them how to cook, and then we take that excess and we put it back out into the community. So, so far to date, working with like Metcalf's, working with some local farms, we've rescued over 100 tons of food so far, and we've put out over, I guess now we're up to about 370,000 meals into the community just since last year, October.
I'm sorry, did you say 100 tons?
100 tons of food. Yep.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
we get more and more every single day. We have more and more people who are going in, and our biggest cap right now is just we don't have enough space to cook it, right? And that's kind of where we fill the gap is we are actually preparing and cooking the food, right? So there are a lot of things like soup kitchens, food pantries, etc., where maybe they have one meal that goes out a week, or maybe they have like a food pantry where they get ingredients, or a food bank where they have big amounts of ingredients that they get to those places. But where we kind of fill the gap is we give the prepared foods. Food has always been like an expression of love for me, right? So you think about like who you cook food for and how you cook food, right? It's always about showing your culture, your love, your heritage all with a dish, you know? The example I always use is like if you're at home and it's just you and you're hungry, you might take a tortilla and throw in a couple slices of American cheese and microwave it and lie to yourself and say that's a quesadilla, right? Like that is in no way a quesadilla. But if you had your best friend over from high school that you hadn't seen in 3 years, there's no way in hell you're ever gonna microwave a quesadilla and hand it to him and be like, for you, buddy, right? Like there's no way, right? Like you're gonna like at least make up something and do your best. Even if it's like mac and cheese, you're gonna like make the noodles and make a cheese sauce from scratch and you're gonna make a great dish for him. Everyone, regardless of means, should be able to have access to healthy, nutritious food, and it shouldn't matter what's in your bank account. And I tell people all the time, man, at Little John's, if we get to a point where the only people that are eating there are people who are food insecure, we failed. Like our goal is that we want everyone at the same table, in the same restaurant, getting the same access to made from scratch, awesome, healthy food. And so that's kind of our goal with Little John's, is that everyone should be able to walk in, get an amazing meal, and no one needs to know how much is in your wallet.
So what does Little John's need?
So we need money, honestly, we need resources, and I think that's one of the big differences between us and other things is we are actually gonna be cash self-sustaining once we open. But to give you an example, right now we have 5,500 meals a week that are going out, and if we wanna do just something like pasta, right? Like think about mac and cheese like we talked about earlier. If we wanna do mac and cheese, to cook enough pasta for 5,500 people, we need a 60-quart pot, which is about this big and this tall, and it takes about 2 hours for that water to come to a boil. and we've got to then put the pasta in. We got to get 2 guys to lift it off and a 3rd one to help lift it up, to drain it into a colander. Then we've got to put it in an ice bath to chill it, and then we have to repeat that 27 times. So it takes 27 times of filling up that pot to feed 5,500 portions of food, right?
Wow.
That's a long time, especially when it takes 2 hours to get up and another 30 minutes for filling up the pot and then cooking the pasta. So you're looking at 2 hours and 30 minutes per time times 27. It's a lot of time and energy and staff to get that going. So in the new facility we're building over on Verona Road, we're putting in 320-gallon steam jacketed kettles, so we can do that entire amount of pasta in 1 hour with 1 person. Right? So that's where down the road we'll be able to help more people, we'll be able to do it more efficiently, and we'll be able to put out food into the community that's way more affordable than what current kitchens are able to put out. So we can give them the same fresh quality food, but at like a 1/10 the price. So we can even help out places like soup kitchens and food pantries that want to have food programs available. But we'll be able to generate enough revenue to at least pay for our product, so we'll be break even. So we really only need help right now until we get built, and then after that we never have to ask the community for help again. We can completely self-fund.
That's amazing. And then once you're full capacity, how many people or how many meals per week?
40,000 meals a week.
I'm sorry.
40,000.
So
Fully packaged, individual 40,000 meals a week is what we'll be able to put out of Little John's when it's up and running.
So you just need help right now.
Just right now.
Build the kitchen,
Yep.
get the equipment. After that, self-sustaining,
Yep.
40,000 meals a week.
Yep,
That's incredible.
that's all we need.
All right,
Okay, we're
Chef
ready.
Dave.
Yes.
Important question.
Yes,
What's
it's a
your
good hat.
Thank
That's the
you.
question, wasn't it? Was it a good hat? It's a good hat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you say a little bit louder so my wife?
It's a great hat.
Thank you. Did you get that, honey? Love you. Anyway,
I could
two-parter.
feel her glaring through the camera. It was really good.
Two-part question.
Yes.
What's your favorite meal today?
Yes.
And what's your favorite food?
Oh, good question. Favorite meal of the day is absolutely dinner. I like 20 years ago probably would have been breakfast, but dinner is definitely my go-to now, just because I am so busy all the time. Dinner is the first time I usually get to eat, so that's like that's my favorite meal. And my favorite dish would be jambalaya. And I know we're a New Orleans restaurant, so you're probably like, well, that's why, but it actually has to do with family. So every year on Thanksgiving, my uncle hated Thanksgiving food. His name was Chris, and but he loved jambalaya. So every year for Thanksgiving, he would make jambalaya. And it was the first thing I ever cooked. I was 7 years old, and he handed me what felt like a 30-foot long cleaver, and I'm sure it was just like this big. I was like 7, and he was like, "Hey, chop up the andouille," and so I started cutting up the andouille, and but when I taste jambalaya now, I don't taste the peppers and onions and sausage. I taste sitting around my family table. I taste, hanging out with my grandma who's no longer with me. Like, all of those familial memories happen every single time I take a bite.
That's amazing. Now I'm hungry. That's great.
Let's go make some jambalaya.
I feel like I need to put my hat on while
feel
we're
like you
talking
should.
hats.
I feel like you should.
See, and put it on backwards.
Yeah,
Look at that.
it was backward. I didn't want to call you out on it because I felt
I would have
bad.
figured it out.
Yeah, well, she would have told you eventually.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have.
no,
Just let it go bad the whole time.
Yeah,
That's a good
that's true.
wife. That's a
So should I
great wife.
keep that
That's a
on?
real partner. A real partner lets you look like a fool, just so later she can be like, "You look like a fool." It's good. It's good. Keep them in their place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I'm ready.